Hello and welcome to the Ligato Show. I'm your host, Dr. Ligato, and today we're going to be going over a tweet by Kobalesi, and it is on how American workers are striking at some of the highest levels in history, which should be surprising because typically when we think of strikes, we think of unions, and union membership has been declining in the United States for a very, very, very long time. And you also have a ton of people who are unemployed, but they're not considered to be unemployed because they've opted out of the workforce entirely. They're typically called NEETs, not in education, training, or employment. All right. I got that wrong. Not in education, employment, training. That's NEETs, N-E-E-T. And so you have a ton of people who have opted out of society entirely, which some estimates put at 30 to 40% of males of working age in the United States. And you also have people who actually have jobs who are striking at the highest rates the United States has ever seen, some of the highest rates the United States has ever seen. And so let's read this and provide some commentary because, as you know from this channel, I am trying to make people in the United States aware about how bad things are so you can prepare for the situation, either prepared by becoming self-sufficient within the United States and getting a lot of various food products that can last a very long time to weather out the situation that is likely going to be coming, or move like I did. I moved to the Philippines, and so I don't have to deal with that situation anymore. And so I want to give you that opportunity. So let's read on and see the situation in terms of workers in the United States. American workers are now striking at some of the highest levels on record. Last month alone, large stoppages from strikes resulted in 4.1 million missed days of work. This is by far the largest volume of work stoppages since August 2000. As the United Auto Workers strike kicks off, we're on track for an all-time record of work days lost to strikes in 2023. People are feeling the pain of inflation and want higher wages. What happened to inflation is transitory. And so you see this graph here showing that we have 4.1 million strikers. Oh, these are work days lost to stoppages. And then it was 4 million in 2000 as well. So 20 years, over 20 years is the last time we've seen something like this. The United Auto Worker strike is estimated to cost the U.S. economy $500 million per day. GM, Ford, and Stellantis have a 40% share of the U.S. market for cars and light trucks. Okay, so I don't know what a Stellantis is. I thought Chrysler was the big three. I don't know if they're renamed or something, but I'm going to have to look that up after this because I've not heard of that. I've apparently not been keeping up if they did a name change. I mean, it's entirely possible just because these companies have such bad reputations at this point that they might just want to rebrand. But Stellantis, that's a weird name. 40% share of the U.S. market for cars and light trucks. Consumers are losing the fight against inflation, and strikes are considered to be deflationary. Well, it's super interesting. So strikes are deflationary, and raising the interest rates are also supposed to be deflationary. And yet you're seeing that inflation is going up far higher than expected on a month-to-month basis. And so despite all of these things that are supposedly deflationary, it's barely keeping inflation in check, and inflation is still worse than we expected. I keep seeing reports about inflation being adjusted up, where they had prior predictions and then it turns out inflation was worse than thought, and then they go back to prior months and they find out that inflation was actually worse there than was reported. And so it's just scary to think that despite how bad inflation is now, they're doing everything possible to be deflationary, and it's still not working. Things are still getting far worse. I was reading about things like olive oil doubling in price from year to year, and it should be very concerning to you that these things are happening. I'm sure it is concerning to people who are living paycheck to paycheck, which is the majority of Americans. The workers whom power this country deserve to be compensated appropriately. Okay, so this is people commenting on this. This person says the high costs and stagnating wages may be one of the reasons behind the increasingly common strikes, as the money that most workers earn has rapidly lost its value over the last few years, but the central bankers are still naively peddling the narrative that inflation is transitory. Okay. Yeah. So there's a ton of things to be concerned about here. And if you are concerned about the future of the country, this is something that you should be aware of, because it's already affecting you. And just imagine if these things weren't happening, if these deflationary things weren't happening, how bad the situation truly would be, right? Because inflation is somewhere around like 5% last I heard. And imagine what it'd be without these deflationary forces. So concerning. Anyways, that is just something I wanted to make you aware of, that there is this problem occurring in Western society where deflationary forces are supposed to be lowering inflation, but inflation is still extremely high. And then it turns out they've been fudging the numbers for inflation for a while now, and it's just been a tragic situation. So thank you for sticking with us. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please leave that in the comment box below. Give us a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.